Hello and welcome to 100% Real with Ruby. Today I have Jared Hamilton here for part two on all things to do with our inner beliefs, our inner workings, and stuff that just keeps us stuck in the perpetuating cycle of trying to get results, but are we actually allowing ourselves to get those results? So, with that, if you haven't listened to part one, go back to episode 231, listen to that. We did touch on the reticular activating system a little bit there and the importance of journaling. But today, I feel it is really important to talk on the process of change and the biggest elephant in the room, self sabotage. So, with that, I'll let Jared introduce himself and what self sabotage really stops us from achieving and how it shows itself in our lives.
Yeah. So what's up, Ruby? It's always good to see you. I appreciate you having me on for a part two. That's always a lot of fun. So when it comes, so for those that don't me, definitely go back and listen to part one. But otherwise, my the shorter version of my story is I'm 31. I'm from Indiana here over in the States, and I've been helping people never struggle lose weight for the last like 11 years or so. Because my big claim to fame is the deeper work. Because there's a saying that I use on my show a lot, and I guess it goes like this: it says, "Outer work without inner work doesn't work." Because the truth is, to set the precedence is the thing that's stopping you guys from getting to where you want to be doesn't have quite as much to do with like calories and workouts and macros and things like that. Like those play a role, but it's the deeper level stuff that's stopping you from getting to where you want to be. These are things like your relationship with food, sabotage, emotional eating, binge eating, your entire inner game. All of that stuff is what's truly stopping you from getting to where you want to be. And that's where we have to address this. Like no one would buy a house with no foundation, but most people are going through their journey of losing weight, trying to get healthier and feel better, but they have no foundation and they wonder why their metaphorical house caves in on itself. So, excuse me. So for me, what we're going to be getting into is that what Ruby was talking about was the deal with sabotage, because everyone knows sabotage, right? We've all are like, no, I do everything right, but somehow I end up back to where I started and lather, rinse, repeat, or it doesn't no matter what I do, I always find a way to get back to square one. Here's the thing you have to understand about sabotage. Sabotage is not this elusive thing that's like this thief in the night that just happens that no one knows anything about. You have to understand sabotage is very calculated, but the problem is usually sabotage happens. It's like when people use the word sabotage, it's rarely just sabotage. It's usually subconscious self-sabotage, as in you aren't aware it's happening. Because if you were aware it was happening, you would stop, right? So the thing is, you have to understand though, the biggest issue is sabotage will never stop trying, because you're always going to be in a state of achieving more and growing and developing and progressing, which means sabotage is always going to be right around the corner trying to ruin things. To give perspective, like why do we all brush our teeth every single day? Because if we stopped, our oral health would sabotage. Excuse me, it would decline and we would get cavities and all the stuff. Well, the thing is, in weight loss, with sabotage that you have to understand is there's a million ways we sabotage, like so many different ways that sabotage happens, but there's a science behind it. What we teach our clients is what I call the science of sabotage. So the first part of understanding it is knowing what actually triggers it. So the number one, it's really fucked up. The number one trigger for sabotage is progress. Like, how messed up is that? This is why, like, it's only when everyone says, "Oh, I finally hit my stride. I finally started losing weight," then something happened. It's because making progress is the trigger for sabotage. Sabotage doesn't have to kick in if you're sucking and not making progress. Think of it this way. Sabotage is kind of like the thermostat on your wall. If over here, my house is always set at like 69 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, if my doors are shut and the temperature of my house is 69 degrees, then we're good. My thermostat kicks off because the room temperature matches where the setting is at. But I have dogs. If my dog kicks the door open on a summer day and the room goes from 69 to 75, my thermostat kicks on to cool the room back off. So for so many of you people, this is where identity is tied so much in sabotage. Whereas it's only when you start to do well, it's because your identity is back. I'm not good enough. I'm fat. I'm not deserving. I'm not worth it. I'm a piece of shit. I'm a whatever. This is like when we have this not so great internal narrative. Well, now you're getting results that are in the other way. So it's no wonder something's bound to happen. That's why, again, when we can get into it as much as you guys want. There's a million reasons for sabotage, but the number one indicator that progress or that sabotage is going to happen is making progress. When someone's like, man, I've never lost this much weight, be ready for sabotage to hit. When someone's like, oh, I'm doing so good. I'm working with Ruby now. I'm doing great. Fat loss doesn't suck. Cool. Well, get ready. Sabotage is about to hit you in the face with a baseball bat. Because when you're making progress and you're so out in front of this thing, you're at the highest risk for sabotage. So you have to be ready.
How can we create some awareness filters around this and try to stop before it actually takes its reins? And when it does kick in, where does it usually show up first?
Great question. So as far as where does it show up first, this is where everyone's different. So I'm going to give tactics that everyone listening can run with. So to bring awareness to it is just that. We have to bring awareness to it. So my first question is, what always happens? Everyone's different. So let me give you some examples. A lot of people will say, like when we're working with clients and their sabotage is their biggest issue. And we go, okay, cool. Well, what always happens? For some people, it's when they start losing weight, they start binge eating. Well, okay, we have to address that. For some people, it doesn't hit until they start losing motivation, then they quit showing up. For some people, it's whenever they actually, like, let's say the scale fluctuates up, they freak out and they sabotage. For others, it's as soon as they start seeing progress, they deny the progress. Like they'll lose a couple inches and they're like, oh, but I'm still fat. Well, you denying your progress was sabotage happening because you're eventually going to fall off. For some, it's oh, I do really well, then I get busy. And then I quit prioritizing myself. Or I do really well, but then my husband gets sick or the kids have soccer. Everyone's different. So my question to you listeners is, what are the top 5 things that happen over the last decade you trying to diet? When you sabotage, what always happens? There's a science to sabotage and there's a paper trail. So everyone knows. If you were to sit down and reflect, and I said, what are the commonalities that happen every time you sabotage? You'll come out with the same like 4 to 6. And then once you have those, you're like, oh yeah, every time I lose weight, about 3 months in, I lose motivation and I quit working out, or I quit going to the gym, or I do really good. Then I quit tracking my calories, or I lose motivation and I quit journaling, or whatever it may be. Now we got to create an action plan around those specific things. There's a game I tell our clients to play is I call it the if this, then what game. So right now, you guys have, if you did what I said, you took inventory over what's the top ways you always sabotage, because it's usually the same ways every time. So now we create a plan for each. If this happens, you lose motivation. Then what? Make your plan. If this happens, you get busy. Then what? You're going to tweak your plan to where you can be consistent no matter how busy you are. If this happens, whatever. So you take you take inventory. What are the top things that happen every time I've sabotaged over the last like 5 or 10 years? Cool. Make a list. If this happens, number 1, then what am I going to do? If this happens, number 2, then what am I going to do? If this happens again, what am I going to do? It's really calculated. Now, here's the last part. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Too often people think the solution to their issue is a new coach, a new diet, a new program. It doesn't matter. You guys can have like literally the best coach ever. You guys could be working with me or working with Ruby, and we're going to give you literally the best program and plan on the internet. But that's not going to stop sabotage from happening. It's not going to stop it from trying to creep in, which means you have to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. So number 1, the top reasons you sabotage. Number 2, you created a plan. If this, then what? If this, then what? Number 3, now you're ready to fight. Now you just got to wait around. And now let's say for you, it's like, oh, I'm do great for about 2 weeks. Then I get busy. Well, if it's been 13 days, you better be ready to get really fucking busy and sabotage, try to attack you. And then what's going to happen is you're either going to win that battle and you're going to start rewriting that mental software, or you're going to get kicked in your teeth and sabotage is going to win again. But with that being said, this is when we get right back up like it never happened. And because every time you get knocked down and get back up immediately, you're good. You're going to be rewriting that mental software. So that's like my little checklist for sabotage.
Does there ever come a place where it's mostly from a lack of belief in oneself that they aren't able to create that consistent momentum, or that they keep sabotaging themselves? They don't believe they can do it. But then in that, they're seeing the progress, but they're sabotaging. Yet they still can't believe they can do it when they're clearly making the progress. So how does that really factor in when it's kind of counter opposites? And with that, how can we build that belief and the proof that we can, and then reinforce that over time of our journey, so we stop falling back into that pattern?
So if your issue is belief, we have to find evidence to support the new belief and find holes in the old belief system. The only way we ever break a belief system is we have to find holes that cause us to drop certainty in it. And the new belief system, we have to find data to back it up and support it. Because if you're coming, because too often a lot of coaches are like, well, just believe in yourself, and but the person doesn't. So it's really hard to, it's like someone that's not happy or depressed to say, just love yourself. It's not that easy. So the actual fundamentals behind changing a belief system is we have to find holes to invalidate and cause uncertainty in the old belief, and cause new belief. And in the belief we're trying to reinforce, we have to find tactical, tangible data to support it. So let me give you an example. We have a client who is like, oh my gosh, Jared, I don't know if I can do this. I go, cool. Without being emotional, why? What logical data do you have to support that you can't do this? And they're like, I don't know. I just don't feel like I can. Okay, well, feelings are biased. Like, give me, like, let's treat this like it's a court hearing. Give me some data to why you don't think you can do this. Oh, well, I'm struggling. I'm like, well, but you've made all the progress over here. You've lost like 5 inches. Your clothes are fitting better, and the mailman's hitting on you. So how's that working? And they're like, well, I don't know. I just don't feel like I'm good enough. Well, I'm like, exactly. So is that serving you? Well, no. Okay. Well, what would serve you to believe? Well, that I can do it. Cool. Do we have data to support that you can do it? Well, I've lost a few inches. Okay. Well, I'm working with my coach Ruby. Well, yeah, okay. Are you making progress on paper? Well, yes. Okay. Well, then you have all the data to support why you can do this. And we actually don't have any data to support not. The problem is when you're emotional, you're not looking at data and evidence. You're looking at your biased ass feelings. So I remember how I did this for myself years ago. I used to struggle personally with this feeling of, you could call it a belief in myself, that I just wasn't good enough or worthy of my goals, or I just wasn't like good enough. I struggled with that really, really fucking hard. So I dropped the emotional side of it, and I literally took out a pen and paper, and I said, I basically said at the top of it, write down a list of reasons I'm not worthy or good enough. And I tried. I'm like, I couldn't think of any. I literally couldn't come up with one damn logical reason why I'm not good enough or worthy of what I want. And now, to be fair, I go, okay, well, why am I worthy and good enough of what I want? I found a laundry list. I'm like, well, I work really hard. Well, I intend to do well. I help people. I'm a good friend. I'm a good husband. I take care of the ones I love, like whatever. And so right in front of me, I had no data to support the old belief system. If anything, I found holes in it. And then I found all the data to prove that the new belief system actually has backing behind it. Because the thing is, whenever you're changing your identity or shifting a belief system, you have to decide what you're not going to believe anymore, and then find holes to cause uncertainty in it. But then at the same time, you have to decide the new belief system that you're going to lean into. Then you have to put your action in place until you have a stack of wins and a stack of evidence that proves that it's to be true. That's how I like to handle it.
I find that there are a lot of people that kind of use the whole "I've been doing this for ages already," or "I've been eating for ages." Like I've been trying to do this for ages. I should know how to eat. I should know how to do this, that, and the other. So they try to attack the problems with the same mindset, the same whatever they already have backed up, with the same way they came to it. They're not able to ask for help. They're not willing to ask for help, yet they want to be able to navigate it a different way. And that's another way that I find a lot of self-sabotage comes in, because it's like, if you have all of your old beliefs that have kept you where you were then, the old choices you made, the old decisions, the old identity of what made the results as it was, which is where you were unhappy, then it's quite obvious that something needs to change for something to change, and it's okay to then ask for help. But that's where people get stuck. They're not, like, they don't see that it's that old thinking, like Einstein said, you can't solve a problem with the same problem that created it. But they're still trying to do that with like a similar food situation, or they go out on a vacation or whatever, and they feel like, okay, I'll just tackle it the same way that I usually tackle it. But they know that that is exactly the same thing that's keeping them stuck. They're not willing to ask for help with that. How can you get people to see that fallacy behind their logic so they can actually start making forward progress a different way?
What I tell people is this: I say, I ask, why are we defending and validating what is on paper not working? Right? Like, as in, I think there's a massive correlation to people who follow trendy diets and people who are in like abuse, or not. It's all the same, but most people's relationship with dieting is very similar to like a shitty relationship with dating. Right? Imagine if there's like this person that you're dating, and they're narcissistic, they're abusive, they treat you like shit, they say nasty things, they're just not a good person. But then they buy you dinner every now and then. So you're like, I'm leaving him. He's a piece of shit. Da 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 da. And then they call you, and they're like, you know what? I think I'm gonna get back with him. He bought me dinner. I think I'm gonna go back. And you're like, why? He only has treated you like shit. He only hurts you. He only causes you suffering. And they're like, yeah, but I've been with him for this long. He buys me nice things every now and then. It's fine. That sounds exactly like, and all of us think that's crazy. We're like, no, that's a narcissistic relationship. But most people are in that with their diet. They say, oh, well, I know this diet or this way of eating has only caused me more struggle. It's only caused my binge eating to get worse. It's only caused me to hate the way I look, hate the way I feel. And it's kept me struggling and yo-yo dieting for the last decade. But hey, it's what I've done for this long, so I might as well keep doing it. It's the same thing, and it's absolutely crazy. But people think it's different. That's the problem.
And like, how can you get them to then approach situations differently when, like, say they are now trying to embrace a new way of dieting that's serving them, but then when they get put into similar environments, like, you can change everything until you get put into the same environment that created the turmoil to start with. Like, that can even be people you surround yourselves with.
Mm-hmm.
How can people become more aware of separating themselves from people that keep them trapped in old that old cycle that keeps them there? And then how can they, I guess, how can they separate emotion from logic to then progress through it, to make some forward progress besides what's happening around them? If that makes sense as a question.
Yeah. So there's a few things to unpack there. Number one is like, the question, how to get people to like understand this and change their mind. They have to be open and receptive to it. Like when like, I always tell people I'm not in the business of convincing. Like when if I'm talking with someone and they're like, I'm struggling, I need help. And I go, cool. Well, what you're doing is unsustainable. It's literally keeping you stuck, and it's not doable for the long term. Or I'll ask them, instead of me just telling them, I'll go, can you do that forever? Well, no. Is it sustainable? Well, no. Is it just a quick fix that's causing you to gain more weight back every single time? Well, yeah. I go, cool. Stop doing it. Like, we literally, does it not make logical sense? If you're going to have to keep it off forever, we do something you can sustain forever. And they go, yeah, that makes sense. I go, cool. So stop doing your old bullshit. If they go back to it, there's nothing I can do at that point, because that tells me their mind is closed. There's a lot of people who have closed minds that are defending things that have only proven to hurt them. And I don't know how to reach those people. At the end of the day, where it's like, the problem is that person's not coachable, and I can't coach someone who's not coachable. You know what I mean? So if someone is coachable and willing to learn, now I can do something with that open mind. But if someone's mind is shut, there's nothing more expensive than a closed mind in this day and age. So otherwise, that's exactly how I do it. I'll talk to them. I'm like, cool. Can you Like if you want to call it like the diet checklist, like if your diet passes all these checks, you're good. Can you do it forever? Oh, well, no. Okay. It's not allowed anymore. Do you give up half your life when you're doing it? Well, yes. Okay. That's not allowed anymore. And if someone gets to the bottom of that list and they're still like, no, but it's the only way I can lose weight, then they're closed-minded and they're in their own way. And there's no way I can fix that until that the mind gets open. So does that kind of make sense?
Yeah. How do you get people to break past the expectation of perfection straight away? Because it's almost like as soon as they start something or they feel like they're entitled to results, the moment they start doing something the right way, oh, I need to get it right straight away. Oh, but I need to make sure that I have my food perfectly like this and then like this. I can't manage that. What's the whole point trying? How do you get people to see that that is valid?
I compare it to anything else in their life because I've yet to meet a single perfectionist ever. I've yet to meet a single one because someone will say, "Oh, Jared, I'm a perfectionist," and they wear it like a badge of honor. I'm like, you're validating inaction. The thing people have to understand is for the perfectionists in the house is when you say you're a perfectionist, you're lazy because your only standard is something that's unachievable. Think about that. Perfection doesn't exist. Life is not perfect. Life is messy. There's very rarely black and white in this life. There's only gray. So if you're saying no, it has to be perfect for me to execute, you're a lazy fuck because it's never that way. I mean, there's no single area in life that's perfect. In life is constantly throwing curveballs. And this is what I'll explain to people is that, well, cool. If you won't get started or execute or show up for yourself and unless things are perfect, you're basically agreeing right now that when life does get rocky, you're going to quit. But then if we look at this logically, how often is life not perfect? How often does curveballs get thrown? How often does things get crazy and chaotic and sticky and stressful? The majority of the time. I would argue 80% of life is unpredictable, crazy, and not so perfect. Well, if you just said, I can only be consistent when it's perfect, you literally said you can only be consistent like 10 or 20% of the time, and you won't do that. That's just not practical. So when someone is saying, I'm a perfectionist, it's the achiever's way of being lazy because the only time they're setting a standard is to a standard that can't be reached. Then they'll never make it. Because then I compare it to other areas in our life. I'll tell someone other than weight loss and nutrition, tell me a single area you're a perfectionist. And I found a way to pick it apart every single time. Someone will say, I'm a perfectionist with my kids. And I go, so when they didn't clean their room, did you disown them and put them up for adoption? Like, oh, well, no. Well, then you're not a perfectionist. Have you ever taken your phone and dropped it and cracked the screen? They go, yeah. I go, so did you stomp on it till it didn't turn on anymore? Because you're all or nothing and I have to have a perfect phone or no phone at all. Well, no, you're not a perfectionist. If you walk down, if you had a carton of eggs and you dropped one or one was cracked, would you say, I'm a perfectionist, I have to have all perfect dozen and then throw all of them away? Of course not. If life is crazy, are you not going to brush your teeth every night? No, you're still going to brush your teeth every night. We're not perfectionists in any other area in our life. The areas we thrive the most in, we have the most balance, not perfection. But when people pull out their perfection card, it's when they're validating bad decisions. I'm going to wait to start because life is crazy. I'm going to start over Monday because this weekend is bonkers. Oh, I don't have all my meals in check and all my portions laid out. So fuck it. I'm just going to go through the drive-through every day. The only time you whip out the perfectionist card is when you're about to make a bad decision and you're validating it.
Yeah, I do see where that also can come in with like a belief, like I want to wait until everything is smooth enough for me to even start trying, because then what's the point? I'm just setting myself up to fail even more. Like they don't have enough belief in themselves to even gain traction. And with that as well, I find that a lot of people when they start out, it's like they're in a rush to the top of the mountain, or they're just looking at the top of the mountain. They're not willing to just take small steps up to the top. So it's like you're going to keep falling back to your base habits that haven't even been built up high enough or strong enough or tall enough, like you said, with the relationship with food, like with any of this stuff that first needs to be strengthened before you can even allow yourself to get high enough up the mountain. Because otherwise you're going to keep falling back to base level, which you don't want to be, because then you have to climb all the way back up again. But it's it's really freaking hard to get people to come to terms with the fact that you need to start slow at where you're at. Because how did trying to take the fast approach happen? Like, how did trying to take the fast approach help you in the past? Where did that lead you? Yeah, okay, you got your result until you ended back up at square one. But it's actually getting them to recognize you need to take it the slower. You need to do it this different way in order to make it up sustainably up the mountain. So when you fall, you don't fall as hard, you don't fall as deep, you don't fall as high.
No, for sure. I think people need to understand that. Number one, it's a proven fact that the people who try to lose weight the fastest struggle the longest. Like, that's a big one. Those who try to lose weight the fastest struggle the longest, because faster does not equal better. Because I compare it this way: trying to lose weight as fast as you can is like me driving as fast as I can. Do I now?
Oh no, I'm making a note. You just remind me of something.
Okay. Okay, cool. I always say trying to lose weight as fast as you can is like me trying to get to the grocery store as fast as I can. So for those that don't know, I drive a sports car. I drive one of those really like brand new Corvettes that look like Lamborghinis. It's my 0 to 60 is like less than 3 seconds, and this car has like 500 horsepower. It's a super car. Well, I can go really fast in it. So if I said, "Hey Ruby, I want to go to the grocery store as fast as humanly possible," and let's say I floored it. Well, the problem is I got to cross about 4 traffic lights and go through a school zone. What would happen if I tried to go to the grocery store as fast as humanly possible in my car at like 100 miles an hour? What do you think would happen? It would actually slow me down, because guess what? What if I did that? What would happen? I'd get pulled over by several cops. If I would do that through a school zone, I would go to jail. I get my car impounded, and I might run someone over, and I would absolutely get in a car accident. So me trying to speed it up is actually going to cause me to fall off and slow down because of the repercussions that happen when you speed up. If I tried to go 100 miles an hour to the grocery store, it would slow me down because I would get pulled over, I'd get speeding tickets, and I'd go to jail. So for me, going to the grocery store, what's the fastest way? Is actually going the rules of the road, going in where I'm from 30 miles an hour. Me going slow is the fastest way, because I'm not going to get pulled over. I'm not going to get my car impounded, and I'm not going to get in any car accidents. So me going 30 miles an hour is less than 100 miles an hour, but it's going to be faster to get to my destination because I'm not going to fall off. It's no different during weight loss. Can you lose weight fast? Yeah, you could starve yourself. You could do drugs. You could throw up after all your meals. You could do some stupid fucking shit to lose weight as fast as you can. But the problem is it's going to slow you down, because then you're going to fall off. You're going to binge. You're going to sabotage. You're going to lose muscle. You're going to hurt your metabolism. You're going to have all the bullshit that's going to happen when you try to speed it up. So what's the fastest way to lose weight? Is follow the rules of the road and go nice and slow and steady so you don't fall off.
That you really just remind me of something there, which is what I wanted to bring up with that. I get like people want to lose weight as fast as possible. They want to get to this end outcome. They think that as soon as they get to this arbitrary goal, they're going to be happy. They're going to hit all their goals. But like we were just saying, pretty much this whole podcast, you're never going to be happy when you're never going to feel like you're there. You're always going to say, I'll be there. Like, I'm not there yet. But like, I remember getting people's photos way back. They'll take a photo and then their caption will be like, I'm not there yet, but here's blah, blah, blah. I know that I'm not done yet, or I know that I'm not like, I haven't lost a lot of weight yet, or I haven't made a lot of progress yet. Like, there's all these yets, or all these onlys, all these soft protector words, which I might get you to go into, because I do notice a lot of soft protector words that people use. But it's like, there's no point aiming for an end outcome, trying to get to a goal, getting in any car on a way to a destination, if you're seeing that destination as just that, the destination, like that's the destination. But it's not. Like, the destination is the scenic route. It's understanding that the process is the goal. You need to change your identity in the process. You need to do the work in the process to become the person who can maintain that end result. But not only that, it's like, what's to say you'll be happy when you'll get the end result? What's to say that you're not going to say, oh, but I'm not where I want to be yet, but I'm not happy yet? Because I know so many people that have lost weight so many times to only realize that once they've lost that weight, they were never really happy anyway, and they still had body issues. They still weren't uncomfortable in their body. they still did not feel at all confident in relationships. And if anything, it made it harder for them to lose weight in the future because they didn't understand what was wrong with them, why they still felt the way they felt. So maybe you can talk a little bit more about that.
So the whole I'll be happy when thing is dangerous because everyone agrees. If I said, I'll be happy when I'm a millionaire, I'll be happy when I have a Lamborghini, I'll be happy when I have a mansion, I'll be happy when I have a really nice watch. We all get red flags and go, ooh, no, that's not okay. Almost everyone would agree. If I said, I'll be happy when I'm a billionaire, everyone will agree, no, you won't. Like, oh, that's bad. Right. So it's the same thing with weight loss. If you say, I'll be happy once I am a size 3 or once I lose the 50 pounds, you won't be. It's also why most millionaires who say, I'll be happy when, end up killing themselves because happiness is not outside you. Everyone needs to understand that happiness is not outside you because here's the thing. If it is, when that thing leaves, your happiness goes with it. But here's the problem. Broken does not create whole. If you're broken and you're like, oh, I'll be happy when, that means you have a hole, like you want to find happiness. You don't go create something out of a state of lack and get full. You have to be whole first, then you go create the life that you want. Because here's the thing. This was an example I got from a friend of mine. His name's Kyle Cease. He's this big time author that talks about this stuff. When people say, I'll be happy when, you're basically staying in a cage. Like imagine this. Most of you guys who are unhappy, you feel like you're in this cage, like you're in a dog cage but the door's wide open. But you're like, no, this cage is home. And you go, I'll be happy when I lose weight. That's like you just decorating your cage. You want to be outside of the cage. You're like, no, I have a gold cage now. I have a cage that I fit in better. I decorated my cage. You're still in a fucking cage. It's because when you say, I'll be happy when, you're putting yourself back in that cage. But now you're like, my cage is gold and it's got jewelry on it and it looks nice. I fit in my cage. Look how good I look in my cage. My clothes fit in my cage. You're still in your fucking cage versus you need to go out of your cage. So when you say, I'll be happy when, I can promise you won't be. You'll have this little dopamine hit, but then you'll go, wow, I'm still fucking sad. I still hate myself. I still can't stand myself because you're also achieving your goals in a way that's unsustainable because every time you make forward progress, you go, it's not good enough. I'm still unhappy. You lose 3 more pounds of your 50. You go, I'm still not happy. What makes you think just because you're going to cross from 49 to 50, you're going to go, I'm going to be happy now? I would challenge you guys listening to this. What if your kid said that to you? Would you ever tell your kid, I will love you when you lose the 40 pounds? I won't love you when you've lost 5 pounds. I will only love you when you're a size 3. No one listening here would do that, but that's what you're saying when you say, I'll be happy when. It's like telling your child, mommy will only love you when you get all A's in school. Mommy will only love you when you achieve this thing. Mommy will only love you when you get on the honor roll. Mommy will only love you when you lose the 30 pounds. But you would never do that. What would you do with your kid? You love them now, and then they can go do whatever. It's the same thing here, but you have an inner child.
I was trying to find a post you put up that I really love. I just want to read this one out. You only have 100%. You only have I said percent. That was very dyslexic. You only have 100% capacity for focus. If half your bandwidth is on how your clothes are fitting, how this meal is going to set you back, calories this, macros that, you don't have very much presence at all to be with your family, friends, and the ones you love. And this is something that I speak about a lot, and I feel like it's very relevant to this because how much of your time are you focusing on how much you hate your body, how much you hate this little fat that's sitting here, how much you are out of control of the food, out of control of this, that, and the other. The more that you are putting all of your focus, all of your energy, all of your attention into these things you hate about yourself, into these things you don't like about yourself that you want to change, you're not allowing space to actually be happy with the person you are now into the person you are becoming, which makes it really hard for you to actually be happy when you get anywhere because you spend all this time still hating on all the things that you currently hate, which is why maybe you can bring this into it as well with a negative self-talk because that's something I wanted you to talk on as well. But you need to have those pull factors. Like, what? Why do you want to change? What is it going to change for you? Let's just say in 3 years from now, if nothing was to change, which you're worrying if you keep repeating the same thought patterns and doing the same negative self-talk, What would you regret not achieving? What would you regret not doing? Now, let's say if you started to change your habits now, started to change your thought process now, how different will life be in 3 years, 5 years? And I find it is really hard for people to give an answer to the latter. But when I ask them the first question, it is really easy for them to get crystal clear on exactly the way their life will be if things kept going the way they were going, even though maybe they downplayed a little, like it could be a lot worse than what they're saying. But you get them to try to have a positive outlook on how things could be if they actually started to do the things they said they were going to do and move in a positive way. And it's crickets. They don't have a clear vision of what life could possibly be like because they spent so much of that time focusing on all the things they hate. So I'm just going to leave that there because I feel like you could really talk on that one.
I mean, it's really simple. At the end of the day, actions follow focus. So then the question is, where's your focus? If you spend all of your focus and bandwidth and internal dialogue on how fat you are, how much you hate yourself, how shitty your situation is, you're just putting fuel to that fire. What, like, understand, you attract, like, you guys have to understand. Sorry, my voice has been awkward today. You have to understand that just assume every thought you think is going to come true. If you knew how powerful your thoughts and what you spend your mental bandwidth on, if you knew how powerful that stuff was and how it translates to your actions subconsciously, you would never think a negative thought ever again. If you spend all your thoughts thinking, I'm so fat, you're going to subconsciously gain weight. If you spend all of your bandwidth on, wow, I'm so lazy and unmotivated, you're not going to find motivation and ambition. Your actions always follow just where your focus is at, because like we talked about on, I believe, part 1 with how your reticular activating system works, is your brain just shows you black and white what your dominant thoughts are. So if your big thing is, oh, I'm such a fat piece of shit, you're going to find things to validate how being a fat piece of shit. If your dominant thoughts are, I'm never motivated, weight loss is so hard, your brain will hide any chance of it becoming simple and easy and only show you things to validate what your personal thought process is. This is why how you talk to yourself matters, how you think matters, because if you have this horrible internal dialogue, you're walking around with an abusive narcissistic relationship. I just did a podcast with a guest of mine. He's one of the greatest of our industry. He talked about this on my show recently, where when you have this internal dialogue, you're not like building resiliency. If you're like, oh, you're lazy, come on, you fat piece of shit, you're not building resiliency. You're not building like tough love. You're beating yourself down because your subconscious mind doesn't know if you're saying it or someone else is saying it. It's just in an abusive relationship. I made a post like 3 years ago about this. I said, if someone talked to your best friend how you talk to yourself, how shitty would you be? And everyone's like, oh, I'd cut that motherfucker, I'd beat the shit out of him. Like, yeah, exactly. If you would not be cool with someone treating your kid, your partner, your best friend how you treat you, you're a fucking hypocrite. So because at the end of the day, your subconscious doesn't know who's saying it. So if you walk around every day treating yourself like shit, having this horrible inner dialogue, choosing to bully yourself, you're basically in a narcissistic, asshole, abusive relationship, and it's because of you. But you can change that right now.
I love that. That like your self talk is everything because you don't spend as much time with anyone else in the world than you do with yourself. 24/7, you are with yourself. So it is really important the way that you see yourself. I guess something that I really wanted to touch, like wanted you to go more into as the crux of this podcast, which can kind of tie it on a bow in the end as well, is that main identity piece, but also ways that we can shift our identity through the way that we were just talking about negative self-talk, but how can we then use our identity, our environment, even our online environment? Because I find a lot of people don't realize that the people that follow, the pages they're a part of, the groups they're in on Facebook, all that kind of stuff leaks into the way that they see themselves, the way that they talk to themselves, and even their partners. Like, I can't remember what podcast I heard it on, but it's like the relationship you find yourself in is probably one of the most important ones that you will find yourself in, because you'll be spending more time with them than anyone else, and they can really influence the person that you become and the way that you see yourself. Yeah. So it's like, how can people start to make these changes that they're aware of? Because a lot of the things that we do are very subconscious. How can we start to become more aware of the things that we do, the things that we say, in order to make this forward progress with our identity and our self-talk to then get to the outcome that we want to get to in a more permanent way. That's pretty much the bow of the topic.
So I like to make this one really, really simple. So when it comes to this, stuff on how to align or how to make your actions in check with your identity and all that stuff, step one is, what do you want? Like, what outcomes do you want? To lose weight, to make money, to be happy, to whatever it is. Then we have to change the question. Who do I have to become who gets that? You don't stay low level you and get high level results. So if you say, I'd like to lose 50 pounds, I go, cool. Who do you have to become who loses 50 pounds? You don't get to stay shitty you that gained 50 pounds and you get to lose it. If you stay the same you, lose the weight, you'll find a way to gain it back. So you have to become a different person. So my question is, who do you have to become to get the thing that you want? Then that's an identity question. So you go, oh, well, that's the version of me I have to become. Now, once you have the identity of that you have to become, the highest potential version of you, whatever you want to call it, then you must align every decision you make with that version of yourself. So if you go, well, cool, that's the outcome I want. Cool. Well, what kind of person do I have to become who gets that? Okay, this is the version of me I have to become. Cool. How does that person think? How does that person talk to themselves? Who does that person spend their time with? What kind of relationship is that person in? How does that person spend their days? How does that person walk, talk, act, smell, eat, train? How do they think? Because when you align your actions with that version of yourself, everything else changes. So here's how I did it. So I have some crazy ambitious goals and things that I'm working on. So I don't just say, how do I build a 7-figure coaching business? How do I become a public speaker? How do I become a leader? Those are all outcomes. I go, who do I have to become that creates a 7-figure business? Who do I have to become who becomes a world renowned speaker? Who do I have to become who's a better leader for their team? Okay, well, now I figured out the version I have to become. Now I have to go, okay, how does that person walk? How does that person talk? How does that person handle conflict? How does that person eat? How does that person show up when they don't want to? How does that person communicate? What kind of relationship is that person in? How does that person conduct themselves on days they don't feel good? And then I just do the thing. And that's what you need to do. What do you want? Step one. Step two, who do I have to become who gets that? Then align every fucking area in your life to what that version would do. And then do that for the next 5 years and you will be a different person.
Don't look at that person, but look at what they do and how they think. And that is your key to success there. One big question that I want to ask you. This one, you know how people will lose weight and they can lose like 20 kilos, 15 kilos, 30 kilos, but they still see themselves as that former version of them, which keeps them trapped a lot of times from moving forward, from how can I now level up to be the next level of myself. They still see themselves as fat. They still see themselves in that old identity, in that old fat suit, where it's like, well, no, you've just lost 30 kilos. You are now your smallest self. You need to allow yourself to now grow into the person you can be instead of keeping yourself trapped in the same cycle.
A few things. Number one, this is where it's important to document and stack your wins like your life depends on it. Because when you even in our community, we have people who have lost like 100 pounds, like 50 kilos, and they're like, I still see myself as the fat version of me. I go, cool, I get that. So you need to hold on to your tangible wins as much as you can. So the days that you're like, I'm such a fat piece of shit, and then they look at the data. Because again, like we talked about, how to break belief systems is invalidate the old one and find data to support the new. We literally have them go look at their stack of wins. Wow, I lost 100 pounds. I'm wearing 5 pant sizes lower. I've never been this consistent, all this stuff. So if you struggle with that, number one, you need to stack your wins every single day, write them in a journal, write them on a piece of paper that's a mile long. So when you have those days where you're like, fuck, I still see the fat version of me, you need to go to the list that proves that to be wrong. Number two is always be working on your identity. You stop letting your identity be based on physical results. Here's the thing. We look the way we do because of what we've done the last year, not what we're doing right now. If I want to change myself in a year, I better start right now. Your physical results are the biggest lagging indicator. It's what you did. It's not what you are. Your physical results are in the past because it took so long to get them here. But then the third part is this: on those days where you're like, I feel like the old version of me, I feel like I haven't made progress. My question for you is this: are you able to think a thought without believing it to be true? If I said, Ruby, your hair's purple, you're going to go, no, it's not. But you thought it though. You go, is my hair purple? Okay, no, it's not. Don't be so quick to believe everything you think and feel. Just because you feel like a fat piece of shit doesn't mean you are a fat piece of shit. Just because you feel like you haven't made progress doesn't mean you haven't made progress. Just because you feel like a lost cause and it's too late for you doesn't mean it's actually true. I'll tie it up with this, especially for those that have kids listening. Imagine how crazy life would be if you had to make everything your child said true. If your child says, Mom, you're stupid, you go, yep, Mommy is stupid. The kid says, I don't want to go to school. So mom goes, all right, you don't have to go to school. It would be pure chaos and terror. But children say and do some stupid shit. So you correct them. You don't let everything your child says be true. So why is it every time your inner child thinks something, you make it to be true? You feel like you're a fat cow. You believe you are a fat cow. You think you're a lost cause. You fully believe you're a lost cause. So my advice is don't be so quick to believe everything that you think or feel.
I absolutely love that. That tied up the podcast really well with a quote that I'm going to take from you right now, and that's just because you feel like you haven't made progress doesn't mean you haven't made progress. You need to allow yourself to challenge the thoughts that you think in order to move forward, because if you don't challenge your thoughts, then you're just going to be living your life dictated by a child who doesn't really have their thoughts put together in a cohesive way yet. Yeah. So with that, I'm going to leave your podcast name below. You changed the name. It's not Diving from the Inside Out anymore, is it?
It is.
Okay,
it's
good.
Diving from the Inside Out.
You probably just changed the podcast. Diving from the Inside Out podcast, and his Instagram handle is Real Jared Hamilton. Is there anywhere else that you would like to put your
So those are the easiest places to find me. My podcast, Dieting from the Inside Out, or my Instagram at Real Jared Hamilton. I do have a Facebook group and in some other platforms, but if you want to be part of those, just reach out to me, like on Instagram. You can also go to we have a brand new podcast website. If you go to dietingfromtheinsideout.com, it is everything my podcast touches is there. So that's an easy hub to be on. So.
Thank you so much for coming on. And if you guys have any questions, go and check out his page. He puts a lot of mindset stuff up as well. And I would suggest listening to his podcast too. I have to listen to that one from Andrew Cruz. I have it on my playlist. And with
good. It's good.
I really can't wait to listen to that one. Thank you so much for coming on. And you guys will hear me next